Xavier Bay, are we the only ones in here?
Good morning. Sorry, give me one moment.
All right.
Feedback. You're not the only ones here. We're just waiting on a few more board members to arrive.
Okay. What do we have for Ward 1 this morning?
Let's see here. Yeah, it looks like calendar number 25-033. It's a case proposing fencing on Harvard.
Fencing on Harvard. Where at? Where's the fencing?
The address is 17403 Harvard Avenue. And I believe they're proposing to put the fence in the front yard.
Okay. I'm going there right now. Is this which company is this one?
One seven four three. It's an LLC. 17430 Harvard Avenue LLC.
Oh, that's what they call themselves, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I know which this. Okay. 17403 Harvard. Okay. And what's the proposition? I guess they're asking for a variance.
So I sent an email. The agenda should be in your inbox if you wanted to see it in writing, but I believe they need a variance for the height as well as the opacity.
The who?
The fence will be solid. Is that correct, Xavier?
No, they're doing the wrought iron.
I didn't hear you, Xavier. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I believe the applicant's proposing like an ornamental type of wrought iron fence in the front, and then the privacy completely opaque fence is around a trash dumpster.
Okay, and is the piece, does it that you sent via email, does it show exactly what it looks like?
No, it's just the description of the variances required. It's the
Right.
adjudication.
So we don't know what kind of fence, what it's going to look like in terms of aesthetic appeal.
The applicant has provided materials in their presentation, so we'll see it all when the case is heard.
Okay, and around what time, if I may ask? And I appreciate you all for answering my questions before the actual session starts.
You are third on the agenda.
Okay, I need to be now. Some of these meetings last a long time, don't they? Do they last longer than a half? Yeah, exactly.
Would you like to ask the chairwoman to move your case up? Is that?
If the chairwoman could be so nice and kind, I would be so appreciative.
We do have Councilman's Life in the room as well.
Well, Councilman's Life, if we are able to move that up to number one, I would be very appreciative. Number 17.
So it sounds like Councilman's Life is going to want to go first, so we can call yours right after Councilman's Life's case is called.
That's fine.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Right now, it is 9:34 a.m. My name is Arlisha Wilson. I will be the chair of today's meeting. We'll get started with the preamble. Madam Secretary?
Good morning. My name is Liz Kukla. I'm the Secretary of the Board of Zoning Appeals. I'm going to read the preamble for you this morning, this Monday, April 7th. In compliance with notification requirements of the city's open meeting law and section 101.021 of the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the City Planning Department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting have the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. Please note that call-in users can unmute by using *6. All meeting activity is being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube for public view. We have provided a link to the meeting for those who wish to speak on a particular case via our website and email. All requests to speak on a particular matter have been considered. We have also received emails from those who have provided written comment on a particular matter. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Can we call the roll?
Sure. Mr. Madison,
Present.
Ms. Holzer,
Present.
Ms. Roca? Up around 9 yet? I believe she's running a little late, so she's going to log in soon.
Okay.
And Ms. Wilson.
Present.
We have Ms. Faith out as well today, so we have a quorum with 3 members. We should state for the record and to the appellants that the appellants have the right to request a postponement at this time due to the number of members that we have at the table. You run the risk of a denial based on if the motion does not unanimously pass. So with that information, the appellant can request a postponement to a future date when we would have a full complement of board.
Is there any appellant present who would want to postpone their case due to not having 5 members at the table? All right, hearing none, I will start to call the cases. Do we have any other postponements or withdrawals, Madam Secretary?
No, we do not.
We do not. All right, we'll call in the first case, 25-031. I assume we have an appellant present for this. This is 17400 Brian Honor. You're present? Okay, perfect. We'll go ahead and read that in. Ms.
right.
Holzer?
Our first case is calendar number 25-031. This is at 17400 Flamingo Avenue. Brian Honor, owner, proposes to install a 6-foot tall fence in an A1 one-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 2. And with that, Madam Chair, I'll hand it back over to you for the oath.
All right, thank you. I'll go ahead and swear in all who are present for this meeting. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? You'll raise your right hand, reply with I do, state your name, spell your name, and give your address. I'll start with you.
Yes, I do. Lisa Honor, LISAHAHNER, 17400 Flamingo Avenue.
All right, thank you.
Charles Slife, CHARLES, SLIFE, 601 Lakeside Avenue.
All right, anyone online wishing to speak in this matter? Doesn't look like it. All right, hearing none, we will go to history of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. Our Records Administration Office, we found that in 1940, a permit was issued to erect a dwelling and a private garage. Madam Chair, I think the most pertinent information for this project is that in 2023, actually, I apologize. In 2017, we see that there was a complaint made about a no permit for a fence, but then in 2023, we see that a violation was issued regarding the fence. And therefore, we do not have any records on file regarding the erection of the fence that's on site now. And there are no variances on file. Thank you.
All right, legal, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting area variances from the fencing requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
All right, thank you for that. Now we'll turn to you and hear from you. I understand that Brian Honor is the owner.
My husband, yeah, he's right there.
Okay, you're present. Are you going to speak
No,
or no?
I will.
Okay, perfect. And then do we have authorization? I can just ask him now if we don't. For her, we do not. Okay, do you give Lisa the authorization to speak on your behalf? Okay, very good. Tell us what you're doing with your project.
Hi, so I believe this was just a clerical error. Back when we applied for this fence, we also applied for a pool permit that was granted. We live on a corner, as you can see. So our last councilman, Mr. Keen, helped us with this, and we were actually in this room with him. I think it was 8 years ago. So
Okay.
we believe this is just an error. So we live on a corner and we have a pool, a real pool from Lighthouse Pools. And we had a little party in my backyard 8 years ago with the board, the building department here, the people, the electric company, Lighthouse Pools, Mr. Keen, and ourselves. Um, because we live on a corner, we have to, in order to have a pool, you have to, back then, I don't know what the laws are now, but 8 years ago, in order to be on a corner and have a pool, you had to have a privacy fence. So we had to get the variance back then. Otherwise, we would have never bought the pool because Lighthouse would never install the pool without your approval. So we believe that this was just, like I said, a clerical error, that we applied for this 8 years ago and you guys approved the pool. And I also know we wouldn't have just done this because we had to pay the electric company $1,000 to move our electrical line in your guys' statute. So where we are is you had to be, back then, I don't know what the laws are now, back then you had to be, I believe it was 10 feet from the sidewalk and 10 feet from the electrical line. So the city came out with the electric company, everybody in my backyard, and put our pool exactly where it had to be. And we know this because we had to get a special order pool because their standard 15 pool that fits in your backyard that you buy from Lighthouse, it couldn't be installed because you guys wouldn't let it. Because I didn't have, I think, 6 inches. So we had to put a smaller pool because the city said. So like I said, I would appreciate, we would love if you would grant our variance on our fence that we put in 8 years ago with our pool, and Mr. Keen helped us. And like I said, Mr. Slide has been great. His assistant, I hate to call her assistant Mary because she does way more than anyone thinks she does. I speak to that woman a lot. We've lived in our home for 23 years in May. We've been here 23 years. We also have never had an accident because of our fence. Now, we have had accidents because we live on the corner. No one stops at that stop sign. We used to have a house in front of us where we live. We had a house across the street. That house is no longer there because somebody drove through the stop sign and hit it. So also, the city said, you guys need this tall privacy fence because it's dangerous because you have a pool. And we live 4 blocks from the housing projects. And they were also worried that kids would jump in the pool. Luckily, we know so many of the kids that live 4 blocks down from us that they talk to us all the time. They've never tried to jump in the pool. There's never been an accident. So we are just asking, please, if we could maybe have the variance that we literally thought we got last year. They gave us, 8 years ago when we got the pool permit.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we'll hear from you.
Sure. So I think it's an easy one. As Lisa said, she's a longtime resident, very active in the neighborhood. Nothing but good things to say about her and her involvement. I think you can tell that they've both attempted with earnest to do everything the right way, and clearly something happened along the way. A combination of acquiring fences for pool. It's also a corner lot, and as we know, our fencing code does not really accommodate the needs of a corner lot well. It's an existing condition. It has a public safety benefit. We're working on some traffic calming and things on the street because it has been a bit crazy. But I just ask, I'm very enthusiastic about asking for your support. And as I said, even if we were in a position of trying to unpack what had happened, I think that the need and benefits of it right now is pretty obvious. So.
Absolutely. All right, any position from city planning?
Good morning. My name is Xavier Bay, representing city planning. We don't see an issue with the privacy fence, with its height and opacity. The real concern, the only concern we have is typically in these cases we'd ask for a visibility corner to be created to allow more safe aesthetic for pedestrians that might be coming up and down the street. As you can see, this is directly parallel to a driveway. In previous cases, what we typically would ask is that the applicant would, remove the corner panels and then, install a panel connecting the two ends, creating a visibility triangle. Yeah, those are the only comments I have.
Okay, and then does it change city planning's position if that is something that is not feasible for the homeowner to do at this point?
Yeah, I mean, if it's not feasible, then, that's your decision to make. It's not feasible. That's usually typically what we recommend, just to increase safety for pedestrians.
Okay, understood. Any questions from the board?
None, Madam Chair.
All right, I will entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, motion to approve calendar number 25-031.
Board Member Holzler, I second the motion.
All right, call the vote.
Ms. Holzer?
Yes.
Mr. Madison?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Calendar number 25-031 is granted. It'll be ratified next Monday. We'll send you a letter, but you can contact us next Wednesday for further instruction.
I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good
Take
summer.
care. All right, well, let the record reflect that we are now 4 board members in number. Thank you for Ms. Roca for joining us. We're now going to call calendar number 25-033. Is there someone here for? Okay, perfect. Come on up to the table and we'll read the case in. Ms. Holzer?
Our next case is calendar number 25-033. This is at 17403 Harvard Avenue. 17430 Harvard Ave LLC owner proposes to install a 6-foot tall privacy fence in the C1 local retail business district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there is one. And with that, Madam Chair, I will hand it over to you for the oath.
All right, I will go ahead and swear in all who are present for this matter. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are going to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? You'll raise your right hand to reply with I do. State your name.
I
spell
do.
your name, and give your address. Hold on one second. I'm going to start with the person in the room. Go right ahead.
Oh, please turn your mic on.
Oh, yes. Good call, Nina.
It's the button. There you go.
There we go.
My name is Rose, R-O-S-E. My last name is Iheme. It's spelled I-H-E-M-E. So I'm for 17403 Harvard LLC. So I'm here to.
And did you say I do?
I do. Yes,
Okay.
I do.
All right, perfect. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in this matter? Councilman, you want to swear in?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right, and for the record, can you state your name?
My name is Joseph T. Jones.
Okay, thank you. And are you going to speak in this matter as well?
Yes, I am.
Okay, state your name and give us your oath.
My name is Alan Bridges. I do. And I
Okay,
live at 16811 Talford Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio, 4128.
okay, and can you spell your name for us?
First name spelled A-Y-L-W-I-N.
Okay, and last name spelled?
Bridges, B-R-I-D-G-E-S.
Got it. All right, anyone else wishing to speak in this matter? All right, Mr. Gray, I can see your hand raised. Are you speaking in this matter?
Yes, I am.
All right, go ahead and swear in for us.
My name is Kenya Gray. Work in City Hall. I forget how to swear in.
You could tell us whether you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Yes, it is.
Okay, perfect. Anyone else wishing to speak in this matter? All right, hearing none, we'll go to history of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This property was originally zoned general retail in 1929. In 2000, it was changed to local retail business. In our Records Administration Office, we found that in 1949, permit was issued to erect a brick store building. 1954, permit was issued to erect a brick second floor addition. 1955, a permit was issued for a masonry garage addition to a stores and office building. There are no variances on file. And then in the more recent history, we see there have been many permits regarding interior alterations and such. Nothing of great importance, but there was a violation issued in 2022 for dumpster on the site, and I believe that a permit was issued following that. So that's all that I have. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, legal, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting an area variance from the fencing requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
All right, thank you for that. Now we're going to turn to the project team. Are you a part of the project team?
No, I'm not.
No? Okay, we'll start with you.
Okay.
Tell us what you want to do.
Okay. I'm here to appeal for relief from the strict application, which states that fence in front yards shall not exceed 4 feet in height, proposed to the 6 feet, which I wanted, because my neighbors on both sides, they have 6 feet already planned on the fence. They have their 6 feet. So I'm trying to follow the same plan that already is there to have the 6 feet to put on this property too for the fence. And the other one is the dumpster, which is the one they said the solid white fence. That is the dumpster for the fence that is gonna be inside. So that one looks like this. And like this. That's for the dumpster. But the fence itself is something. I sent the picture. I don't know why it's. Oh, you're trying to. Okay. So the fence itself is gonna look like this, which is the same thing my neighbor has already in there. So I'm trying to follow the same plan that is already
Okay,
in place.
can you tell us why it is that you're installing a 6-foot fence instead of a 4-foot?
Yeah, because it's a business area, and the 6 feet is more secured for security purposes and reasons than 4 feet. That is so one can easily cross over, but 6 feet it keeps that security purpose for in place. When we use 6 feet, it's not easy for people to go over it or whatever, because we're gonna have cars parked in there and other things. So in order to secure that area, 6 feet is more appropriate than 4 feet.
Got it. Okay, do you have anything else you want to add, or you done?
That's all I need.
You're done? Okay, I'll turn to you next.
Yes, thank you for your time and patience this morning. I'm here basically speaking against the variance because of the 6-foot fence, and more so, the community was not apprised of the type of business that's going in there or that is in there right now. And more so from an aesthetic standpoint, the 6-foot fence, and I understand the metal wrought iron fence, it would be somewhat consistent with your neighbors, the other businesses, but it's a 6-foot picket fence, wooden fence that I'm opposed to. And more so from a community perspective, we're trying to really either sustain the Lee Harvard area, or this body can sustain it, or this body can help it grow. And more so from a pure aesthetic standpoint, if you drive down Harvard and see this 6-foot wooden fence, it takes away from the beautification of the area.
I thought it was an
It's
aluminum.
aluminum, it's not a wood
Or
fence.
vinyl or wood.
One,
This is
This one.
aluminum.
can you show that to him so
Yeah.
he can see it?
Yeah.
Okay, no, this is fine. She's going to be consistent.
You have no objection
Right,
to
she's
what
going
you
to be
see there?
consistent with her neighbors.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, so then,
And
does
this
that
one-
change your position? Do you still oppose that particular fence?
Well, excuse me, that's this for you. Thank you. This is the 6-foot fence she's talking about.
That's a dumpster.
That's for the dumpster.
That's for the dumpster.
Close
But there's no other 6-foot fence surrounding a dumpster that I know of on Harvard Avenue in the business district.
Where is the dumpster on your property?
Dumpster is in the back of the building.
Okay,
And
so
they have already sent this thing against the dumpster that it doesn't have this. So we are following the what is it called? The appropriate this thing, the code for the dumpster.
and so
So
just
that's what we have for
to
the
make
dumpster.
sure that I am clear with the request here, we're only deciding the fence that's in the front and not the fence surrounding the dumpster. Is that right?
I think it's
Yes,
Right.
that's correct, Madam Chair. The zoning, the notice of nonconformance is written up. Shannon's also online to clarify this, but the notice of nonconformance is written up specifically speaking to the fences in the front yard.
Okay.
For it being 6 feet. When it's by right, you can go up to 4 feet.
Got it. Okay. So the dumpster part of this is not on the table for today.
Okay.
So we just want to make sure that we're clear about what you're putting on the record, and your concern was not with the wrought iron fence.
As long as it meets the 4-foot code and is consistent with the other businesses up and down Harvard, more so her neighbors, as she
Okay.
pointed out.
So she's requesting 6 feet today.
Correct.
And so you oppose 6 feet?
Correct.
Understood. All right. Any other comments?
That's it.
That's it? Okay. Mr. Gray, do you want to tell us your position here?
Yes, just like a continuation of what Miss Rose was saying. It's just the fence is not a 6-foot privacy fence like the man was saying before. It's a continuation of what's already there, which is why I was in agreement with this. I'm in support of the variance. And I believe that if she could get the privacy fence for the dumpster that's coming eventually, I think that would be appropriate.
Okay. Thank you so much for your comments. Councilman, do you want to chime in?
Yeah, I'm absolutely well, for starters, I went by there this morning just to double check. And this is a building. Ma'am, you just purchased this building. I guess I would ask that question.
last year.
And were
Yes.
you the one that's responsible for the improvement of the property at this point?
Yes.
Okay. First, I want to say thank you for fixing that property up, and it was quite an eyesore. Previously, ladies and gentlemen, we've had a problem with this particular location here. And in the past, we've had loud music complaints from this location, from the residents on Eldermere Avenue. Now, ma'am, I have not had the opportunity to meet you. It would have been nice if we would have had a chance to meet so I could talk about some other things there at that property. But let's look to meet. Do you have a pen and piece of paper available to you right now? Ma'am,
Yes.
can you write my phone number down so you can call me?
Okay.
I'm Councilman Joe Jones, and my phone number is 216-355-0017. I would ask the board talking about the 6-foot fence, the variance. Is it right directly behind the building? Or does it cover the building and goes all the way past the dumpsters over to the next building?
So this variance request is only for the front yard.
Oh, it's for the front, for the 4-foot owner. Now, what kind of fence? What kind of fence are we putting there? Are we starting it from the corner where the address of 17403 is located, and then moving it across the drive area where the dumpster is located? Is that the wrought iron that you're talking about putting in place?
Yes.
Okay. And would you be extending that wrought iron fence on the opposite side of the building as well, or just in that location where you're parking?
It's just from the front there.
Okay, so just in the front portion, right there where an existing fence used to be, where we see pipes that's there, that's where you would make the installation there?
Yes.
Okay. To the board members and all who are here at this meeting and hearing, we're not opposed to a decorative wrought iron fencing being placed there. We would see it as an improvement into the neighborhood. We have been working so previously to build up over the last 8 years and get resources coming in there. We appreciate the fact that the distinguished lady has improved the property since she has purchased it. Previously, the property has been an eyesore. And I look forward to working with you, distinguished lady, to make sure that when we do enclose that dumpster, there's a lot of people who have businesses within the city and certainly in our community that don't follow the laws of enclosing it. And we've talked about tomorrow. So we have no unreadiness, Madam Chairwoman. Our neighborhood is in full support.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Councilman. Any question from the board?
Madam Chair, I do have a question. I'm looking at the picture. I'm not totally clear on where the curb cut is. Is there going to be a gate or are you fencing it all the way across?
No, it's gonna be a gate.
Okay, there will be a
The
gate.
main gate for the car and the smaller gate to walk in.
Got it. Okay.
All right.
Madam Chair, just a question for you to the, through you, the fence on the property to, I think it's, to the left.
Mm.
The size of that fence is 4, is that?
Six.
Can I speak to that?
Yes, please join us. Just state your name for the record, if you will. You can come up to the table if you want. Yep, just roll on up.
Hello, my name is Kenya Gray. I'm the Southeast City Planner, and I conducted a site visit along with Xavier Bay. Actually, we went to see the site, and the existing fence to the neighboring property is 6 feet. You can kind of see it in the background on this photo here. But if you can't, there is a black ornamental fence that Ms. Rose plans to continue on the front of the property in the front yard. It's going to be 6 feet, and so we're here for the variance because it only allows for 4 feet, but the neighboring property is 6. Although it's kind of confusing, it is 6 feet, and we measure and things like that. So, yeah, does that answer your question?
Thank you, Madam Chair. That was my question, trying to decipher between the fence that was there and then the fence that was being established. Thank you.
Perfect. Any other questions from the board? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, motion to approve calendar item number 25-033.
All right, do we have a second?
Board Member Holzer, I second.
All right, can we call the vote?
Ms. Roca?
Yes.
Ms. Holzer?
Yes.
Mr. Madison?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Calendar number 25-033 is granted. It'll be ratified next Monday. We'll send the appellant a letter, but she can feel free to contact us next Wednesday for further instruction.
All right. Good luck with your project. All right, we're now going to move on to calendar number 25-032. Do we have Rachel and Brian Parks in the room?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll turn to Ms. Holzer to go ahead and read the case in while they come forward.
Our next case is calendar
you.
number 25-032. This is at 7914 Madison Avenue.
You're welcome.
Rachel
Have a
and
good day.
Brian Parks, owners, propose to establish use as a residential facility for 5 occupants in a G2 limited retail business district and an urban form overlay district. The owners appeal for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 2. And with that, Madam Chair, I'll hand it back over to you for the oath.
All right, I'm going to swear in all who are present for this matter. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? You'll raise your right hand, reply with I do.
I do.
State your name, spell your name, give your address. I'll start with you.
My name is Rachel Parks, first name spelled Rachel, last name Parks, Parks, and I do.
Okay, thank you. Give us your address, please.
7914 Madison Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio, 44102.
Perfect, thank you.
Brian Parks, Brian Parks, 7914 Madison Avenue.
Okay. Anyone else in the room wishing to speak in this matter? Let's see a couple of you. Anyone online wishing to speak in this matter? All right, hearing none, we'll go to history of the property.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This property was originally zoned semi-industry in 1929. And then in 2018, it was changed to the current zoning of retail and the urban form overlay district. In the Records Administration Office, we found that in 1913, a permit was issued to repair roof on the property and to erect a garage. And then, Madam Chair, in our cell system, we see that there were many violations issued on the property. Starting in 1996, there was a condemnation violation in 1996. 2022, there was a board up violation. Another board up violation in 2024 as well. But then we see in October of last year, there were interior permits issued to make corrections, you know, electrical permit, HVAC, refrigeration, plumbing, etc. And there are no variances on file for this address. And that's all that I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'll take legal, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting a use variance and an area variance from the minimum distance requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the use variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will result in an unnecessary hardship particular to the property such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without the variance, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
All right, thank you for that. I'll now turn to you. Who wants to go first?
I'll go. We bought the property back in October, and my dream is to turn it into a group home. Me and my mother started this before she passed away a couple of years ago. And I took what I had in my inheritance to purchase the property, fix it up. I've talked to the councilwoman. She's actually excited about us fixing up the property. I don't know about the group home thing. I did tell her about it, but she comes by every so often to look at it, and she's getting excited that instead of tearing it down and be a vacant lot, that it is being, you know, restored. And it is an older property that we're trying to keep some of the character. We started the siding on the property and did some of the exterior. There were people hoarding in this house and doing drugs, and we've since put cameras up and now they're staying away. We're doing some of the interior of the property, fixing it up. You can see we've already made a lot of progress on the property so far. I am a mental health worker. I work with Ohio Guidestone, and I've already helped a few people. And if you look, the building next door is an Eden property. They house people with mental health, drug abuse, and SUD, substance use disorder. And I've actually been helping people in the neighborhood acquire services, mental health providers. There's a lot of people around there that have mental health. And my goal is to have 5 people in the property, all single rooms, because I know in group homes, because I am very familiar with group homes, how cops are called, EMS, because of disputes with the residents there. So my plan is to have single bedrooms, which will cause a lot less issues at the property, 24 hours. We will have a staff member there 24 hours. We'll be providing probably more services than normal group homes. I've been to a lot of group homes that are just, you know, so bad I can't even believe the living conditions that these people are living in. So my goal is to change that. You know, this property is going to be beautiful. I've already had people come in that live in the Eden building and want to live there because it's so nice. And we've actually hired some of the people in the community to help give them money to help us clean it out and fix up the yard. And, you know, they even come over and I talk to them when they need, you know, a talking to. The lady across the street is very helpful. She's been helping us. She's all for this. A lot of people I've talked to in the neighborhood is okay with the group home because they know I'm going to monitor them, make sure, you know, there isn't anything going to happen in the neighborhood. And I am going to, you know, check on them every day. We're going to have cameras in the property, outside of the property, with privacy, not in the bedrooms. But like when I have to make runs or anything, that we still continue to watch them. So there's going to be a lot. If you look at the list, we're going to have protocols and in place, checklists, and I'm going to monitor their medications, make sure they have mental health services. I cannot make them through my agency, conflict of interest, but I am going to make sure that they are hooked up with all the services that they need, monitor their medications, and, you know, coordinate with their guardians or loved ones to make sure that we put a, you know, a plan of care in place for them and try, eventually if some of these people can live on their own, help them get to that point, kind of like a car group home, but that's not what I'm doing. But I'd like to see these people function in the community again. And, that's my stance there. And a lot of the property surrounding this, the property next door is like 4 or 5 housing unit. And it's a rental property. And that's also like Section 8. Across the street is Eden Tow Truck Company. They're getting ready to tear the building down from what I hear to put another Eden building across the street. And then this huge Eden building, I'm hearing the neighbors behind us, there's an alley behind us. So we really don't have nobody behind us directly that, this would affect. And they were saying that Eden's talking about buying up their properties and extending it behind our property. So, what are we going to do with this property if we cannot turn it into a group home? Who's going to want to raise children next to a facility that has mental health? And some of these people, they have bad backgrounds, pedophiles, drug addicts. I've actually seen this guy, he's blaring music all day long, drinking beer in the window. And it's like, would a family really want to raise children there? That's my thing. What else could we do with this property besides a group home? I mean, this area is mainly commercial. If you look at the photos, there's a lot of commercial properties. There's no residential properties. And what residential properties are within 100, 200 feet are all commercial or rental properties. So I'm not sure what else. Yeah, so we're not sure what else we can do with the property if I cannot turn it into a group home. And this property has been sitting for years and, we're trying to bring that character back to the community. Those are all Eden properties across the street, all of them. The red one you see on the end is a rental property. And then this is behind my property. We have an alley and those houses sit pretty far back. So they're not really going to bother anyone. And then next to the property where the Eden building is, there's a vacant lot there. So we're not very close to that property. And we have a nice sized yard. And we've actually kept a lot of the people out of that property that they were worried about the eyesore and the people going in there doing drugs and squatting. We actually got all that taken care of. Nobody comes back, messes with the property. The neighbors are helpful. They even help us watch the property, but we have cameras right now. See, that's the vacant lot right there. There's the tow truck company across the street and the vacant building next to that one that they're talking about turning into an Eden property. And he's got all these trucks there. It's an eyesore. Who's going to want to purchase this property to raise a family? I know I wouldn't personally.
All right, Brian, did you want to add
So-
something?
If you look at the photos, ma'am, the property is vacant adjacent to our
One
property.
second. Can you turn your microphone on? Sure.
The property adjacent, which would be the property to the right, is also owned by Eden. So it would appear that Eden is trying to expand and take over this whole section. I just don't believe it's in the city's best interest to allow development by a commercial company the size of Eden to monopolize this area of Madison Avenue. As you can see, we're progressing on the property. 90% of the stuff's done. As a contractor, I've got a lot going on. But we're gonna have this stuff completed before the city even issues the permits. We applied for permits in October and have not received one permit yet. So we're continuing to do work, whether we're fined or not. We're gonna have the property completely.
Mostly cosmetics.
Yeah, it's all
We're not-
cosmetic, but we
I was gonna
like.
say, don't say.
We're allowed to do,
I mean,
no, we're allowed
We
to do
we-
the
we
cosmetics
tried-
part.
We got the siding going.
Okay.
They told us it was okay because
Yeah.
winter was coming and they know the leak issues, so.
Well, let's focus on the group home to make sure that we're getting all of the context that we need. So you stated you're gonna have 5 people in the group home.
Yeah.
Is there a particular target gender that you're?
I'm
gonna focus on?
targeting men right now.
Okay.
Especially, anyone that, I know there's halfway houses, but that has been incarcerated. They have a lot of mental health issues that they don't really get the help they need institutionalized and they come out, so messed up that they need these services a lot. But that's, I want to target the men
Okay.
mainly for now is my plan.
All right. Any questions from the board?
And I do have pictures of the single rooms that I've been fixing up, so you have an idea of. Yeah, there's one down there on the bottom right. That's what all the bedrooms are gonna typically look like. So they're each gonna have their own room, wardrobes. We're gonna furnish furniture for them. We're gonna provide the hygiene and the meals every day and, home cooked meals. I've seen where these people are giving banquet dinners to these grown men. How are they getting full on this? And a snack, a little cake, like, it's sad because these are grown men that cannot bill you. And I've seen that, a bologna sandwich, like they're in prison. A bologna sandwich with a piece of bologna, a packet of mustard, and sometimes cheese. I mean, that's ridiculous that they're being treated this way. And some of these men are institutionalized that now they're coming back out and they feel like they're in prison again. And they have to be put in group homes because they can't function in society. And they need that again.
All right, any other questions from the board?
Can you share a little bit more about your staffing model? Is it only going to be you? Do you have anyone else that you'll be employing to work at the property?
Me and my 2 daughters are going to be employed at the property because they are actually really excited for this project that me and my mom started.
Will they be there? Will you guys be there 24 hours?
One of us will be there 24 hours. We will be having a company vehicle to be able to provide transportation when the mental health providers cannot, to make sure that they're making all these appointments. And usually the mental health providers help with the scheduling, but I'm also going to keep track of appointments to make sure they're getting the care that they need.
Will you be dispensing medicine?
I will be getting a certificate to dispense medication. If it's an injection, there will be nurses that will come out and do the things that I cannot.
And then my last question is, it sounds like this is your first group home that you will be operating.
Yes, but I am very educated with them because I work with multiple group homes for my clients. So I'm aware of how they're ran and how they function in the process, sorry.
And then Xavier, is that the map of the other group homes that are proximate?
That's correct through the chair. The parcel highlighted in blue where my cursor is hovering is the property in question. And then just across the street is a cluster of existing residential care facilities. And then you can see those are the only ones within 1,000 feet of this property.
Can I add that is actually one owner of all those properties? I know her personally. She owns all the little houses and the big building there. And I've worked with her to put clients in her group home. But she's actually a really awesome group home owner. But she owns all that property. That's just one owner.
Mr. Bay, can you talk to us about the context of this neighborhood? I mean, is it appropriate for this many group homes to be within such close proximity?
So the context of Madison Avenue on this corridor, this part of it is very commercial, as you've heard here. There's a mix of legacy industrial uses to the east and west, a few blocks to the east and west. But there's also, existing residences, more so on the southern side of Madison Avenue. There is a Family Dollar, just on the next corner here, West 85th and Madison, and then another corner store about a block away to the east. Further down to the east, there's the RTA's Red Line when you intersect West 65th and Madison. So there's a rail line there with high frequency transit. I'll jump into our perspective on group residential care facilities. Typically, we wouldn't recommend approval for increasing the density of these within close proximity of each other. It is understood from us that I believe the applicant has had conversations with the councilwoman about other potential uses for the property. It's a mix here. You could see a lot of different things take place here. You could use the property as retail or residential. I will actually mention, we are, very appreciative to the applicants and their, responsibility of the property bringing it out of condemnation, and actually bringing it to a usable, habitable status. I believe those are the only comments I have. I do see Nathan Lowell is on, but I don't know if he has any additional comments. He's a neighborhood planner for the area.
Okay, we're happy to turn to you, Mr. Lowell. Do you have comments regarding this calendar number?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Nate Law, City Planner for the Farmer Side. Xavier really covered it well. We understand that this is not always a desirable use, especially in such clustered proximity. However, I do also understand the applicant's perspective of this home not necessarily being desirable for residential use. So ultimately, I don't know that we have a formal opinion, but we would typically not recommend approval. But I do understand in this case, it's, I think, more unique of a situation.
Okay, understood. Thank you for that. Any other questions from the board?
Thank you. Madam Chair, I do just have a couple of questions before we move forward for a vote. In your slide deck, you mentioned a relationship or partnership or potential funding from the Adams Board. Can you speak to that?
Well, the Adams Board helps group homes get funded, like RSS and WAP programs. So that's why we'll be coordinating with the Adams Board to help get them, you know, the payments and everything that we need to be able to provide the services.
Do you, Madam Chair, have you guys already engaged with them to set up potential?
Yeah, I
what
actually
that
know
looks
people
like?
at the Adams Board that I've been speaking with, because I've worked with them to get services, you know, the funding to help my clients in group homes. So I've been talking to them about that.
But there's nothing officially in
No,
paper
because we
writing?
have, sorry for cutting you off, not yet, because I have to take the classes, and what's the point if I'm not approved for the group home? But yes, there are classes that I have to take to get certified to be able to run the group home.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, security, can you speak to what does that look like?
We're gonna have cameras in the property, living room, dining room, kitchen, to be able to monitor the property. We have ring cameras on the outside, spotlights on the outside. We're gonna have an ADT system, so if there's a fire, anything like that, emergency officials can get out there as soon as possible. And they're actually pretty quick because we live right by, you know, a lot like the Metro Health main campus, so they usually get there pretty quickly.
So through you, Madam Chair, so you're speaking of the external security, but what about internally between, you know, the individuals that are living in the home, the
Well, we're
safety
gonna
of
be there
you?
24 hours a day, so we'll be able to be there to watch them to make sure that everything is okay.
And then just the last question through you, Madam Chair. So I know that you've mentioned that you've been experienced with working with other organizations, but this will be your first time running a home.
Yes, a group home.
So with that in mind, what other additional support systems or resources do you have to work with this identified population that you've just mentioned as men earlier?
I'm a mental health worker. I've been doing it for 6 years. I'm actually on the ACT team. It's an assertive care team. We work with the most difficult, profile clients. I work with men and women. I work with clients typically that have dual diagnosis, SUD and mental health, people that are released from prison that murdered people. So I work with very dangerous people and the most difficult in the state of Ohio. This is the best program that we have. I work with therapists. We have 2 therapists. It's 4 case managers. We have a whole team. So I work on a team. So I'm familiar with getting all these services. And I know therapists outside of my agency that I can use to, you know, sign them up for services if they need it.
Thank you. Last question. How do you plan to recruit the individuals? What's your
Well,
recruitment
the
plan?
Adams Board actually has a list of group homes where they can look. And I know other group home owners that because honestly, they say there's a lot of group homes and there probably actually are, but there's still not enough. There's people living on the street homeless that they have nowhere to go because they don't know how to get these services. They're not aware of it. I was 16 years old and we were evicted. We've been together 25 years and I was evicted. I was eating from food banks and it was difficult for us. So we didn't know about like public housing and all this to be able to get through life, which we really could have used. And now I know about these services and I can be able to provide those for them.
All right, any other questions from the board?
I just have maybe one more question.
Okay.
Sorry to be grilling you. So Xavier, can you remind me when when you guys send out notices, they're sent out to all of the properties adjacent, correct?
I'll actually defer that question to the Secretary Liz Kukla.
There's actually a sign in our front yard.
Yes, we do. All the adjacent property owners.
Okay. I'm just curious what conversations you've had with, you mentioned that there are properties in your backyard. Obviously there's an alley. Have there been conversations with those folks living on, is it Farrell Avenue? About your plans for the property?
Yes, and they're comfortable with it because, you know, I guess it's a bad neighborhood. We grew up over there, so they rather us see having a group home there than to Section 8 it actually. They rather us turn it into a group home where they know there's gonna be somebody there monitoring it than to Section 8 it. And you're not gonna get as much, and sometimes you can get some difficult people to deal with.
So they have your contact information. They would know to contact you if there was an issue.
Everybody surrounding us have our contact info in case something was to happen with the property or they see anything. They're excited that we're, you know, we got all those people out of there. That's the most thing with the residents is they're happy. There's no drugs being brought in there. There's nobody cutting through the alley as much anymore. And it's actually calmed the neighborhood down a lot. So they're excited for that. And they know we're trying to make it a group home. They're supportive.
Okay. Madam Secretary, any correspondence?
No, Madam Chair. No
No
letters.
correspondence. All right, I'll entertain a motion, please.
Madam Chair, I move approval of calendar number 25-032.
All right, is there a second?
Board Member
Board
Roca,
Member-
I second.
Thank you for that. Can we call the vote?
Mr. Madison,
No.
Ms. Roca,
Yes.
Ms. Holzer,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson.
Yes.
Calendar number 25-032 is granted. It'll be ratified next Monday. We'll send you a letter, but you can contact us next Wednesday for further instruction.
Perfect. Thank you.
All
Thank you
right, you're
guys so
welcome.
much.
Good luck with your
Appreciate it.
project. All right, we're now going to call calendar number 25-034. Do we have someone from TNR Builders here? All right, perfect. We'll go ahead and read the case in. Ms. Holzer?
Our next case is calendar number 25-034. This is at 3040 Barber Avenue, TNR Builders Incorporated.
Excuse me. You're a little loud. Okay.
Owner proposes to erect a two-story frame single-family residence and a two-story frame detached garage in a single-family dwelling on second floor above in a D1 two-family residential district. Sorry, that was a mouthful for me today. The owner appeals freely from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 4. With that, Madam Chair, I will hand it back to you for the oath.
Okay, I'll go ahead and swear you in. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? You raise your right hand, reply with I do, state your name, spell your name, and give your address.
My name is Ron Potasic. It's PTACEK. Address is 13880 Stony Creek Drive, North Royalton, Ohio.
And did I hear you say I do?
I do.
All right, very good. Anyone else wishing to speak in this matter? In the room or online? All right, hearing none, we'll go to history of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. We found that this address is also known as 3038 Barber Avenue, which was erected a shop on the property in 1890 and a porch on the property in 1907. But then we found that in 1979, a permit was issued to demolish a two-family dwelling on the property. And there are no variances on file. Thank you.
All right, legal, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting area variances from the minimum lot size, minimum lot width, minimum floor area, required rear yard, minimum distance between buildings, and front yard setback requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. And there's a note that the board is limited in its ability to grant a front yard setback variance.
Okay, thank you. We'll now hear from you. You want to tell us about your project?
Yeah, there's two, actually, it's a brand new house we're putting up over there. There's actually 2 of them. They're side by side and stuff. I was at the last meeting and stuff, and that one was approved. What we're doing is we have the rear garage with the ADU behind it and stuff for the first variance back here. I'm sorry, for the minimum lot size. Obviously, those lots are tiny.
Okay.
And you can, I don't know if they have that site plan up here, you can see it over there and stuff over there, so. With the garage backing up, we only got 4 foot behind it on the side over there. And with the minimum lot size required 50, we only got 30 to begin with over there for the first variance back there. So, in the dwelling too, they're saying we need 950 square feet. We have 792 for the dwelling size. The required, rear yard setback is, 25 feet. For the garage area, which behind the garage, we have 4 foot up to the alleyway, which there's nobody behind us or anything like that. I believe that's all going to be all new homes going back in there too. That somebody else purchased all that property. The third one, the distance between the buildings and the parcels is the distance between the house and the garage back there. They're calling for 40 feet. We're proposing 27 feet between the garage and the house. Second one, city planning review, that was all approved, so I do have letters for all that. If
Okay.
you want to take them, I have a letter from Metro West too.
Okay.
Want all these over here?
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, so for the record, we do have a letter from Metro West Community Development Corporation directed to the members of zoning appeals. They are in support of the project and support all 4 variances. And they are excited to see the building done. And then the second document you've handed in is a report form from a meeting that you had previously with the city of Cleveland. And it looks like this has been approved by design review.
Mhm.
I'll hand these over to Madam Secretary to place in the file.
And the last one on there would be the front yard setback is required 18.75 and we're proposing 14. That's not correct. I don't know how he got that on the sheet, but on our drawings, it shows 18.75.
Oh, so you won't even need that variance?
No, if you blew it up, you would be able to see it a little bit better on there and stuff like that.
Do we still have Ms. Leonard online? Can you chime in here? It seems like maybe a variance was listed, but it may not be needed.
Yeah. I have it in paper if it helps you guys out or not.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, this is Xavier Bay. I can speak to this a little bit. The original plans, I believe, showed 14 feet. We actually saw the other home neighboring this property a few weeks ago, in which we spoke with the applicant and asked them to meet the setback. And so they revised their plans to show the 18.75 foot front yard.
Okay, all right. So it sounds like we're only going to move forward on variance number 1, 3, and 4. Any other comments you want to add?
No, I think that's about it.
All right, any questions from the board?
Yes, Madam
All
Chair,
right.
I would like the appellant to, hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you very well.
Oh. Sorry if I'm a little loud. The appellant could please describe the hardship that he will face if the variances are not granted today.
Yes, great question.
There's no way we could build the project.
Okay, say more.
Impossible.
What would make it impossible?
Number one, we don't have the side yard setbacks and stuff to fit this project onto the property and stuff like that. It just wouldn't fit. Couldn't design this that way with the ADUs on it and stuff like that. So there's no way it would fit.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Board Member Roca?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, perfect. I know you gave comment. Xavier, do you have any additional opinion about this particular variance request?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Xavier Bay, representing city planning. I don't have any additional comments. The only other thing I'll say, we're supportive of, density in this neighborhood. As I mentioned, we saw the neighboring project a few weeks ago with all the same variances and we recommended approval. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you for that. I'll entertain a motion, please.
Madam Chair, I move approval of calendar number 25-034.
Board Member Madison, second.
All right, let's call the vote.
Ms. Roca?
Yes.
Mr. Madison.
Yes.
Ms. Holter.
Yes.
Ms. Wilson.
Yes.
Calendar number 25-034 is granted. It'll be ratified next Monday. We will send you a letter, but you
Okay.
can contact us next Wednesday for further instruction.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Good luck with your project. All right, we are calling our final case. This calendar number 25-040. I assume you're here from BIJ Investments, is that right?
I'm Diane Bijay, and I am here with the approval of the homeowner to represent him. I
Okay.
am the contractor.
Perfect. All right, we'll go ahead and read the case in.
Sounds good. Our final case is calendar number 25-040. This is at 5811 Madison Avenue. BIJ Investments, Inc. owner proposes to erect a 20-foot by 20-foot, one-story frame detached gable garage in a B1 two-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there is one. With that, Madam Chair, I will hand it back over to you for the oath.
All right, thank you for that. I'll go ahead and swear you in. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? You raise your right hand, reply with I do, state your
I do.
name.
Diane Bijay, B-I-J-A. Ironically, BIJ is the investment company. I didn't realize it till you said it. I am at 3659 Stearns Road in North Olmsted. And I am representing BIJ Investments.
Okay, thank you for that. And is there anyone else wishing to speak in this matter? There's no one in the room, not seeing anyone online. All right, we'll turn to history of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This property, was originally zoned multifamily in 1929. Then in 1964, it was changed to the current two-family zoning. In our Records Administration Office, we found that in 1892, a permit was issued to erect a dwelling. In 1905, a permit was issued to erect a kitchen addition. 1939, a permit was issued to enlarge a basement and erect a private garage. And then in the more recent history, Madam Chair, we do see that in February of this year, a permit was applied for and I believe issued in February of 2025, but then a violation notice followed. And the appellant could explain that a little bit further. So
Correction.
no variances on file, just the violation notice regarding the garage is the most important information. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. I'll let you correct that in just a moment. We'll turn to legal of the property, please.
Madam
Or
Chair,
legal of
members
the
of the board, appellant is requesting an area variance from the accessory building setback requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, we're circling back to you. Go ahead and
Okay,
tell us what
thank
you want us to know.
First, the correction is this was applied for 4/17 of 24. 10 months later, we were granted our permit on 2/6/25. Now, the building department here is very efficient, and I pull about 40 permits a year alone out of this city. I'm in 5 counties, 86 cities, and we do over 400 garages a year. So I'm very always impressed at how fast and efficient the city of Cleveland is.
Nice.
And we never get violations out of this city. We have a pretty good record here and a very good reputation. We couldn't have been in business 400 garages a year for the last 22 years if we didn't. But we ran into a hiccup here. When we applied, the city, we always have to go to plots or engineering, and they always fill out 2 spots on the back of the application. The front footage and the side footage. They couldn't, they left it blank. There was no determination that plots and engineering could find as to the size of this plot. Then we tried to go further and find it. And again, they couldn't find because it had been broken down over the years. So they could not find me a side size or front footage size. So for all practical purposes, and everybody who knows anything about GIS, depending on the angle and how you use your little cursor, it's not accurate. It's a crapshoot, but you can get pretty close, within 1 or 2 feet usually. So we were all forced to go to that GIS for our measurement. And we did. And when we did, I got 1 to 2 feet for my front footage setback. From where the garage was gonna go. This house is so close to Madison Drive that we couldn't put the garage in the front. But we were lucky, it has a lawn avenue, which is an alley in the back. And we had just enough room to give these folks enough room, 20 feet, to put their garage in the back. Code says I have to be 3 feet from the house. I made that 3 feet and I submitted several times. I'm gonna say 3 as a good guesstimate that we submitted from GIS that I had 1 to 2 feet from the sidewalk. And that's usually where you go. Something to consider. Sidewalks in Cleveland are required to be at least 4 feet wide. This sidewalk here is 6. So that's already non-conforming. So we went ahead and went to not my client's mortgage company, but we did some research and we went to the prior owner's mortgage company and found an old mortgage survey, which again are not always accurate. If it's not an engineered and it's not within the last 10 years, again, we're going with a crapshoot. But we found one and I went off of it and it gave me my 5 foot 1 inch. So we drew this up 5 foot 1 inch. They finally approved it and gave it to me in February with this old mortgage survey. We all prayed. That's what we did. When we went, my crew went out, we did our dig. At that point, the city of Cleveland has inspectors and they come out, they do a pre-pour inspection. Before any concrete is laid, I have to have that pre-pour inspection. They approved it. We poured the concrete, it was approved. I built the garage, it was approved. I called for my final, like any good contractor does. It was violated. I was 9 inches from the sidewalk. Here I have a perfectly good $23,000 garage built and I'm violated. And my hardship is, my only recourse, if you don't give me that variance, is I have to tear this perfectly good garage down. This man has owned this house and he's a flipper, but he has owned this house for 1.5 years and could not sell it because there was no garage. So he made further investment. He built a garage in good faith, waited 10 months, got approval from the inspectors. We did everything right. He helped us with the research. We not only went to his mortgage company, but the past owner's mortgage company. We went and dug to do everything right, and we were wrong. The city couldn't help us. They couldn't give us the right measurements. They couldn't provide us anything to go off of except a guess on a GIS and an old mortgage survey that we picked up. So we're here begging for mercy. This is a very non-conforming area in the first place. There are side setbacks and rear setbacks all through this area with brand new buildings that have been given some forgiveness. We're begging you for some forgiveness here. The fact that there's a 6 foot sidewalk gives us 17 feet from the right of way and I'd have to look at the picture, 9.5 or 11.5 feet from the street. and plenty of room for a passerby because most sidewalks are 4 feet. There's a 6-foot sidewalk. There's plenty of room for a wagon, a lady with a double stroller with twins. I mean, the sidewalk is our saving grace here that it's so oversized.
Okay, any questions from the board? All right, any opinion from city planning?
Good morning. My name is Xavier Bay, representing city planning. Typically, we wouldn't support front loaded garage. As you can see from the pictures here, the concern that we usually have with these is the, potential for conflict between pedestrians and vehicles, or vehicles and vehicles coming out. I will also add, I believe this is a dead end street.
Yes, it is.
So, just I would say take that into consideration. That's all I really have to say about this. Typically, we wouldn't approve a front loaded garage of this nature.
All right. Any correspondence, Madam Secretary?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the board? I'll do a last call.
Madam Chair, I'm not seeing it. Is there a curb cut here for this garage?
Can you speak to that?
Yes, it is right there. There's a apron going in. It kind of looks to the side, but it's there. That driveway you're seeing goes into that garage. It just looks weird from here.
Okay, and then can you describe the difficulty that you'll face today if these variances are not granted?
This man is probably going to have more problems selling his house without a garage, and I have to tear down a $23,000 garage. And he won't have a garage on the property. He needs 20 feet to drive in to park a standard SUV, let alone a pickup truck. If he had a smart car or a small Chevy or Escort, he could park a small car in there. But 20 feet is your standard depth. Even if you had a 1-car garage, it would be a 12 by 20, a 14 by 20. There's no other way I could have put this garage on this property. And we had approval by the city to build it. All of our inspections were approved. We would not have, if they would have failed my pre-pour, I would have never poured $4,500 worth of concrete, let alone built the rest of the garage. It could have been stopped if the city would have saw it too. And as you can see from the picture, there's plenty of room from the street.
All right. Any other questions from the board?
No, Madam Chair, thank you.
All right. I'll entertain a motion, please.
Take it.
We approve calendar number 25-040.
All right. Is there a second?
Board Member Madison, second.
All right. Can we call the vote?
Ms. Holzer?
Yes.
Mr. Madison?
Yes.
Ms. Roca? Ms.
Yes,
Roca?
sorry. Yes, sorry about that. Yes.
And Ms. Leslie?
Yes.
Calendar 25-040 is granted. It'll be ratified next Monday. We'll send you a letter, but you can contact us next Wednesday for further instruction.
God bless everybody. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I just want to say that I had my hand up earlier and we didn't ask anyone in the audience to mention about the home for the mentally ill to go up. Today is my son's birthday and he had a mental illness. In 7 days will be his death date because he was mentally ill and I couldn't find a place in Cuyahoga County to help him. So today I celebrate his life and next week I celebrate his death because there weren't enough places to help him. And so God bless you. Really, God bless you for granting that one.
Awesome. Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you for sharing that.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Everybody have a great day.
You too. All right. So we're gonna now move to our old business. I can see numbers 2 through 6 as well as 8 highlighted for affirmation. Any objection?
No objections.
No objections for the one that I was present for.
All right, and then we have, let's see, 24-165. They need more time to sort out financials. Any objection to providing more time?
No objection.
No objection.
All right, more time is granted. That concludes our business for today. At 10:49, we will adjourn.
Thank you.